you have to go to the mosque and pray 2 rakat, the At-Tahiyyat Masjid.
Tahiyyat al-Masjid, okay. Which masjid are we talking about here?
Masjid al-Nabawi.
Oh, Masjid, okay.
So, and if we have to say that before we pray, whenever we enter the mosque. So one already has done the witr. So is it okay to do the At-Tahiyyat Masjid and then
I see. Okay, what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Jazakallah.
Thank you very much. Barakallahu fiki. Let's start with the first one, witr after Isha.
Okay. Witr is prayed after Isha, so that's a normal practice. Now, whether you pray it straight away after Isha or later on, that's up to you. Now, the sister was talking about tahajjud and fearing that you don't wake up during the tahajjud time. So she prays the witr after Isha, probably immediately after Isha, which is normal for many people. That's perfectly fine. And even if she wakes up and she manages to wake up for the tahajjud time, okay, and that, especially now in this period, if you're going by the 18-degree timetable, then Fajr is very early. So around 1 o'clock or slightly before, if you look at the timings. Now, that would mean that there's not much waking up time. So you would pray both your Isha, and then you would pray your Tahajjud, and then you would pray your Witr. So anyone following the 18-degree timetable, they would be doing that right now. Because people are going to go to sleep after they've done that, because if your Fajr timing is coming in at 1 o'clock or thereabouts, then you're not going to have much time if you go to sleep. You're not going to wake up, are you? So with Isha, very late, 11:15 or something like that. But if a person follows the later timing of Fajr, then, that's about 3 o'clock or just after. So then that person may go to sleep and wake up. So even if she prayed her Witr before, then she woke up, then there's still reports that the Prophet prayed 2 rakah. So you could pray 2 rakah, make them as long as you want. And there's no problem with praying those 2 rakah after you've prayed your Witr. And that's something that the Hanafi madhab has anyway. They have that as part of the raka'at that they pray after Isha. So perfectly fine, do so. And if a person...
Sheikh, I'll have to interrupt you there. Let's continue the discussion after the short break, because we'll have to go for a short break. You're watching Ask Eman. We'll be right back in a few moments. Thank you very much. Come back. You're watching Ask Eman live on Eman Channel on Sky 757 in conversation with Sheikh Shaqur Rehman. We're streaming it live on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel. So please do like, share, comment, and subscribe our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. Follow us on our Twitter, and we're streaming it live via our website, emanchannel.tv. We had a caller in the first segment asked questions regarding or related to Witr and Umrah. Sheikh was answering the first question with regards to praying Witr, or if someone has prayed Witr and Qiyamul Layl, Tahajjud, how it needs to be offered. Sheikh was explaining. If you have missed it, you can see the video either on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, or you can watch the repeat or Ask Eman highlights either on Sunday or Monday. Sheikh, over to you from where we left.
Okay, so we covered the praying Witr and then the allowance to pray 2 rak'ah even if you prayed Witr. So if the sister had prayed her Witr and went to sleep and then woke up at Tahajjud time, praying 2 rak'ah after that is not a problem. So do that and make it as long as you want. And then the sister asked about going to Masjid Nabawi.
Yeah.
And then Tahiyatul Masjid.
Yeah.
And can she pray that after
She's already prayed Witr.
she prayed the Witr? So here, if you go back to the first question, praying 2 rak'ah after the Witr is not a problem anyway. And this is another issue here. Some of the scholars said that these types of salahs that have a reason for praying them, there's no problem in praying them even at prohibited time. Even at a prohibited time, there's no problem in praying them.
Example of prohibited time?
So a prohibited time would be, say, after Asr. After Asr, you come into the masjid. And before you sit down, you pray 2 rak'ah.
Tahiyatul Masjid.
Okay. Okay. So the greeting of the masjid, Tahiyatul Masjid, you're going to pray 2 rak'ah. Okay. So this is a reason for praying this salah. When you come into the masjid before you sit down, you should pray it. So this is one of those salawat. Like the 2 rak'ah that you pray behind Maqam Ibrahim. Whenever you finish your tawaf, you have to pray 2 rak'ah behind Maqam Ibrahim.
Whatever the time is.
Even if it's after Asr.
Or even Zawal time.
Or, yeah, whatever time it is, you're going to pray those 2 rak'ah.
Okay.
So these types of salahs are exceptions to the rule.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no problem. Yani for this, the question she asked, I've prayed my witr, I've come into Masjid Nabawi, before I sit down, I want to pray 2 rak'ah. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that from any angle.
Okay, so thank you very much. And before I move on to the next caller, we had discussion about heat wave and what kind of dress code we should be adhering to. One more question before we move on to the next caller. As parents, sometimes we dress down in front of our children. So in Islam, we have responsibility and a role to play as a parent, even if the weather is warm, hot, whatever it is. Even if we dress down, children, as a role model, how do we dress ourselves, especially in this hot weather?
Okay, this is very simple. The same principle that we mentioned in the beginning. The best thing for you to do as a man, you cover between the navel and the knee, being the best thing. And we talked about there is some difference of opinion in the schools of fiqh in that. And we said take this approach because of more modesty in this, right? So the man covers from the navel to the knee. Now, the woman, for instance, what should she cover? In front of other women, the mandatory part that she has to cover is, again, in front of other believing women, she should cover from the navel to the knee. Okay, but obviously, modesty means that you cover the upper part as well. So in front of our children, we want to teach them modesty. We want to teach them haya because this is part of our faith. This is fundamental to our faith. So we would dress down, okay, t-shirt or something like that, or vest even for a man, etc. And even for the woman, but as long as the chest is covered and most of the skin is covered.
Okay.
But if some of that becomes uncovered in front of our own children, it's not a major issue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a major issue. But the mother in front of her boys, yes, she should cover this area as well.
Especially grown-up boys.
Yeah, grown-up boys, definitely. Obviously, that's more. But
and also for grown-up daughters' father as well.
Pardon?
Grown-up daughters, the father as well need to make sure.
Both ways, we said. But remember, for the man, the mandatory part is
خلاص.
navel to the knee. So even if the father was to walk around without a top on in front of his own children, there's no problem with that at all.
Okay.
Yeah. But the mother more so, and she would cover the chest and the area. Even if the clothing was tighter, wouldn't be a problem as long as it's covered. Yeah?
Excellent.
So even if the mother was to wear like a vest top, but she's covered, yeah, and she has her underwear underneath, etc. But she's covered, and even if the clothes were tight, there wouldn't be a problem with that.
Jazakallah
At
khair.
home.
Jazakallah khair for that clarification. Hope it's clear. This is a show where we address issues such as the matters that we have discussed, and our guest always answers the question according to the Quran and Sunnah. If we are confused, if we are not sure about something, pick up the phone and dial 0203 515 0757, our studio number 07916841483, our WhatsApp number. And of course, if you have any conditions or medical conditions which creates an issue with regards to any clothing, then please speak to a qualified doctor and take the appropriate advice. Moving on swiftly to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Riyaz, brother Riyaz.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah. Thank you very much for calling in, young caller. Yes, what's your question?
My question is, how long did it take for the whole Quran to get revealed, and what was the last surah to get revealed?
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any other question?
That's it. Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah fiqh. Young caller, regular viewer, always ask questions. And thank you very much for taking permission from your parents to call in to the studio, Sheikh.
Okay, as we know, the Quran was revealed over the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. His prophet, when he became a prophet at the age of 40, passing away at the age of 63, so 23 years over which the Quran was revealed from beginning to end. Now, the last verse to be revealed,
last surah,
is in the last verse to be revealed. The last part of the Quran to be revealed is towards the end of Surah Al-Baqarah. Yeah? So that verse is in Surah Al-Baqarah. So I'm not sure what the brother means or what the caller means by the last surah. Does he mean the last part of the Quran or the last full surah? It's not clear. Okay, so the last part of the Quran to be revealed is just before Ayatul Dain, which is right at the end of Surah Al-Baqarah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
A portion of Surah Al-Baqarah.
Thank you. And the important factor is we have to read the Quran, understand the Quran, and act on it, inshallah.
Yeah, and that, just the inquisitive nature of the young is that what was first, what was last, and these are kind of facts that the young like to understand and know. And when it comes to quiz time, these are the things people ask, isn't it?
Agreed. You're a teacher, so definitely you are qualified.
We used to quiz them things like that.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much for that. Let's move on to our next caller. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Tanveer on the line.
Yes, alhamdulillah. Thank you for taking my question. Just wanted to know, is it permissible to have breakdown covers? For
what kind of breakdown?
So for my car, if I were to have an annual breakdown, so for example, if I break down somewhere, I'll be able to call them and they'll be able to come and recover my vehicle or fix it.
It's clear. And it's your personal car?
Yes.
Okay. Is the car on finance?
It's not, no. I bought the car.
Khalas, it's clear.
Yeah. Obviously, in the UK as well. So, yeah. Thank you so much.
Any other question?
Just this one, brother.
That's fine. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh.
Okay. Breakdown covers where you're paying for a service, okay, and you don't know whether you're going to use it or not.
That's correct. Most of the time, we don't even use it if it's a brand new car or, let's say...
Yeah, so this is similar to any... in essence, okay, let's go back to the old fiqhi discussion first and foremost, okay? When we pay for something, we're buying something, whether it's a product or a service, there can't be any ambiguity in the service at all. Yeah? So you know what you're paying for, there's a set amount you're paying, and what you're going to get is is specified as well. Yeah. So if it's a product, I'm buying that cup, for instance, I'm paying this much, I'm getting that cup, so you know what you're getting, and the other person, the seller, knows exactly what they're getting. Okay. In this type of transaction, there's a lot of ambiguity here. right, what am I paying for? I may never use anything. So it's problematic from that sense. But when you look at these companies,
insurance companies, yeah.
Yeah, insurance companies, but we're not talking about insurance exactly. Although this is very similar to insurance, isn't it?
Correct.
So when you look at these companies, they have these statistical models and all the rest of it, and they know they are never going to lose. Okay, they have worked it such that they will never lose. They will never lose. Okay, so if you had this cover, the transaction is problematic. The way it is phrased and the way it's put together.
Yeah.
Transaction is problematic Islamically. Okay. Now, when it comes to previous models, there's been like a model where you put money into a pool, and those who are in the pool take benefit from that service.
Okay.
That would have been perfectly fine. But this model has Islamic problems on it.
So that means it's best to avoid, and especially if there is no legal requirement or mandatory legal requirement to have it.
Yeah, but there are certain contracts when it becomes part of your insurance that you have to have sometimes.
Okay, excellent, inshallah. Thank you very much for that. And it's a good question. Thank you very much, brother, for asking. We'll be right back after a short break. Do stay tuned with us. You're watching Ask Eman. Thank you very much. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Eman live on Eman Channel Sky 757. We're also streaming it live on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel. Once again, humble reminder, please do like, share, comment and subscribe to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. Also, we're streaming it live on our website, emanchannel.tv, in conversation with Sheikh Shaqur Rehman. 0203-515-0757, our studio number, 07916841483. In the previous two segments, alhamdulillah, we've taken callers. Let's take our generated question on this segment. Inshallah, if time allows, we'll take some more calls. Sheikh, the first generated question for the show. Brother Asif is asking, how do we use honey as medicine and for what illness should it be used?
Okay, as Allah mentions, fihi shifa. Okay, in it is shifa, is cure. So the honey itself has medicinal benefits in it. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned that. And in the hadith where the man comes with a stomach ache, and the Prophet ﷺ says to his brother, "Yeah, go and tell him to have honey, have honey, have honey," because that is cure. So eating honey, and even some of those who deal in honey and stuff, they say put in some warm water, not boiling water, not very hot, just warm. Mixing it and drinking, etc. In this is purification and cleansing of the stomach, etc., and helps with that healing. There's other ways to use it, but that is something specific to those people who have tried using honey in different ways. So that's not my kind of feel. So the Islamic ruling on it, yes, take honey, especially on empty stomach, etc. These things are very valuable and very good for the stomach and good in fighting off disease and illness anyway. But the specifics of how to use it, you need someone who is experienced in using honey to treat certain illnesses. Okay. That's more of a medical kind of question or a herbal medicine question than an Islamic question.
Excellent, thank you.
Allah knows best.
Barakallah fiqh. And also, a disclaimer, we don't give out any medical advice here on this show. Spiritual advice, of course, but if you do need any medical guidance, even related to honey, then please do speak to our qualified doctor. Moving on swiftly to our next question, and that will be, inshallah, it's regarding credit card. Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum. Is it permissible to use a credit card even if it's paid off and no interest is paid, or should it be avoided due to the contractual obligation of having to pay interest should one be late?
Okay, so first, wa alaikum assalam to the brother who asked the question. I think you mentioned his name, Asif, isn't it?
No, but Asif has already been, he asked the first question about honey, but this is anonymous.
Right, so this question, right, credit cards. In today's modern age, unfortunately, there's certain transactions that you can't make except with a credit card. So here, if you don't have the credit card, you can't actually function in that particular field or that particular issue that you're trying to do. And also, you need to save yourself. Certain times, if you use a credit card to pay for something, you're covered. And if someone, the company tries to rip you off or whatever, the credit card company will chase them and you'll be protected, your money will be protected, and you'll be able to get your money back, etc. So if you're not going to pay interest and you're not going to incur interest, and you've mitigated that part of it, and you'll never fall into that condition, although the condition is a problem in the contract, but you're never going to fall into it. There are those who have said that it's permissible. So you either have that money put away to the side that you're using, and you'll easily be able to pay it off, and that's guaranteed for you. So either you have it and you'll do it yourself in another account or whatever, or you have someone who will cover it for you and you'll never incur the interest. So some have made that permissible if you do it like that, okay, because you need it to function in a certain particular way. If you don't need it and there's no actual need for you to be using a credit card, then obviously that's better to avoid.
Okay, now let's bring it more closer. This year Hajj was very, very difficult. There were a bit of controversy there. Now, it's a lot of money involved, and as human beings, we always have to be very careful when it comes to any risk assessment. Now, booking Hajj using the credit card, but I have got the money and I have the ability to pay that money completely? Because obviously I'm going for Hajj, so I should have that money saved anyway. But I'm using credit card, not my debit card, just so that I get that right. Consumer Credit Act, that protects me should anything go wrong. Now, the act is, alhamdulillah, is, very, very spiritual, and people don't want to embark on a journey with something that has an element of doubt or confusion or whatever it is. What would your take be on that?
Yeah, like any other transaction like this, where especially this year there was a lot of problems, and there's going to be a lot of problems when a new system is put in place.
Correct.
Someone who did that, what would be the issue? They've got the money, they have mitigated the fact that they're never going to pay interest on that. They only did it because there's a real, genuine fear that they could lose all their money.
Yeah. Inshallah. Now, Sheikh, this is where we have also another confusion. That, yes, the element I had questions like, yes, you have the element of fear, then there is a concept of tawakkul, relying on trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, can we relate this?
Yeah, you're taking the means that are there in front of you to mitigate putting yourself into real problems. And if you think, this year people are paying £10,000 for the Hajj, and that's one person. Two people, £20,000. £20,000, that's a huge amount of money for most Muslims. Yeah, very few people, that's not a huge amount of money. So they need protection, and the only way they're going to be protected with the current laws in place and the current
policy or
regulation
regulation we live
in, is by going through a credit card. So here, because it's a dire need, a real need, because if they lose that money with nothing coming back,
that's their life saving for many.
That's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. So someone who did that, inshallah, there's no problem. They've got the money, they've covered it, they're going to make sure they're not going to fall into interest. Yeah, the clause in that contract wasn't the basis of the contract. So it's a lesser issue, and they're going to mitigate that anyway. So inshallah, that opinion is there from some of the scholars anyway. So inshallah, there's no problem with that.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that clarification. Moving on swiftly to our callers. Next on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yes, please go ahead. What's your question?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Please ask. Please ask. What's your question?
My question is that only, once a year, decorations and giving food to poor people and these kind of celebrations are enough to tribute and show your devotion towards Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or is constant struggle? Hello?
Okay, I think I've understood it, but I just want to clarify it. So when you're talking about celebration, what kind of celebration are we talking here?
It shouldn't be like a Christmas celebration. We should be constantly struggle, fight, effort we should make to spread Islam. And the way, like in India, Hassan Mayuddin, he made nearly 10 million people, non-Muslim, he brought them into Islam, and then he didn't finish his struggle there, and he invited Shahabuddin Ghori to bring Islam in the government, and he defeated all those people. How we should invite other people towards Islam, and how should we make struggle?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. It's an important question. Let's see what the Sheikh has to say.
Okay, so sisters, from what I understood, the sister's asking, to show your love for the Prophet ﷺ, is it enough to just celebrate his birth or his character or something on a single day of the year? Or is our love for the Prophet ﷺ, or does our love for the Prophet ﷺ necessitate more than that? Clearly, our love for the Prophet ﷺ necessitates that we imitate him and his way of life and live in accordance to his way of life and the revelation that he brought to us, Quran, the Sunnah, as embodied in the Islamic jurisprudence of the schools of fiqh, that is our love for the Prophet, for Allah and His Messenger.
Yeah.
That's our love, to live every single day in accordance to the revelation that the Prophet gave us, the guidance that he gave us. Anything short of that is not loving him the way he deserves to be loved. Okay, so our celebration of the life of the Prophet, and it is a celebration of the life of the Prophet, not just his birth. Okay, so it's not restricted to a day. It's every moment of every day of our lives.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that clarification. And she also mentioned does not have to be only giving dawah a particular day, like such as Christmas or Easter. It can be done throughout the year.
It must be done. How can we be true followers of the Prophet if we don't live in accordance to his life? His whole life was one thing: propagating the message of Allah. That was his life. So if we're not doing that, we're not really following him.
Thank you very much for that. Perfect timing. Once again, it's time for another break, but we still have one more segment to go to. Inshallah, we'll be back in a few moments. Do stay tuned with us. You're watching Ask Eman. Thank you very much. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Eman. Final segment, broadcasted live on Eman Channel Sky 757 in conversation with Sheikh Shaqur Rehman. Let's move on swiftly to our generated question. Sheikh, it's an interesting question. I've not come across this question live on air. Brother Wasif from Facebook is asking the question, if you're in the middle of wudu and then take a phone call, do you have to restart your wudu?
Okay, if you were on the phone for a long time.
Okay, what does long time mean?
Yeah, let's say you were on there, and some of the scholars in the fiqh manuals, they say if it was enough time for one part of the body to dry.
Acha, okay.
Okay, just by itself, naturally. And then that would be a long time.
Okay.
If it was very quick, so you just said, sorry, I'll call you back.
Okay.
Okay, that's not a long time. You moved from one thing to the next. Then it's best to start again. But you know, there's a deeper thing here, right? You are now in wudu, because wudu is not some kind of ritual. No, this is an act of worship.
Ibadah, okay.
You're busy in an act of worship. Just like we say, you know, don't start picking up the phone when you're doing an act of worship like Dawah or something like this. Here, you're in an act of worship. So leave your phone for a minute. And subhanAllah, I learned this lesson, you could say a bit of the hard way. I walked into the masjid and just imagine, I'm very early for the salah. And it's Salatul Dhahar actually. And one of the elders from the masjid came in. And so I was dealing with something, organizing something, some food for an event in...
Okay.
I was imam of a particular masjid at the time, yeah. In your locality.
Yes,
yeah, so,
thank you for that.
So then I'm trying to organize something. So I've come into the masjid and then my phone's gone off. It's on silent. Phone's gone off. And then I picked up the phone because the masjid's empty at the moment. And then uncle walked in. Okay, so I'm on the phone and the uncle walked in. And then he gave me such a look. I put the phone down. Okay. And then he said, brother, look, you come to the masjid. You've got so many distractions in your life. Don't bring them into the masjid as well.
Does the person know that you are the imam of this masjid?
No, I'm not the imam of the masjid.
Okay, no,
it's
okay.
not that masjid. It's
Khalas.
a local masjid that I'm praying at. And he said that. I said, Jazakallah khair. That's the truth there. And you've come in for ibadah. Don't distract yourself more. Okay, so even in that, and there was loads of time before the salah. I think I got there at 1 o'clock and the salah was at 1:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that day I got there very early. So that, as a principle in my life, I took it from, he's an elder, and he's actually the father of one of my friends.
I see.
And that principle is a principle that most of us don't take into our lives. And when you are busy in an act of ibadah, don't bring more distractions. There are so many distractions in our lives anyway. When you're doing an act of ibadah, leave those things. If someone's trying to call you, leave it. And you can deal with that afterwards. 5 minutes is not going to change the world. Okay? Finish the ibadah that you're busy with. When you go into the masjid, forget your phone. You're there for a purpose. Don't distract yourself. Busy yourself with dhikr of Allah and that which you're there for. So, the question, don't pick up the phone when you're making wudu. That's the best thing for you to do.
Avoid it, even if it's emergency.
Focus on the ibadah. Focus on the ibadah. Finish the ibadah. It doesn't take more than a minute or two to make wudu.
Excellent. Even I've noticed when I'm working in the city, if either you're in a board meeting or even a general meeting, if a call comes in, even if it's an emergency, you finish the meeting, you walk out, and then you answer the phone call. And that's for worldly matters. So what about ibadah?
This is more important, isn't it?
Excellent. Thank you. Next question is definitely something, alhamdulillah, you have dealt with. And it's a YouTube question. Amatullah is asking, when do you stop making dua for a certain thing? Especially when it is about marrying a specific person if things are not going your way. Is it a sign perhaps to stop making dua for that certain person?
Okay. This is the matter of the heart, isn't it?
It is indeed.
About
it's blind.
Someone who's... the heart is blind. No, the heart is not blind, Yakhi. Love is blind, as they say, yeah? The heart is not blind. Okay, so this is an interesting point. Now, we need to go further back, actually, in this question. Right. Should we even make dua for something specific? Okay. I want something, I want this particular job, or I want this particular wife, or I want this particular
house,
husband,
car, etc.
House, car, whatever it is, yeah? The sister's asking, she wants to marry a particular guy and a particular brother. And when should she stop making dua, oh Allah, facilitate marrying him?
Yeah.
If you look in the dua in itself, dua al-istikhara, it doesn't say, oh Allah, grant me that. No, it says, oh Allah, if this thing is good for me, then facilitate it. And if it is bad for me, move it away from me and facilitate that which is better for me. Okay, that's the dua. So in that is a secret. Allah is telling you, if you ask for anything specific, always qualify it with, if it is good for me. And if it is not good for me, give me something else, which is good for me.
You mean replace it with something better?
Yeah, give me something better. Give me something instead of it, which is good for me. What does this teach us as a general principle that we should take in our lives? Never say to Allah, oh Allah, give me that thing. Full stop. Never. Oh Allah, facilitate for me this thing if it is good for me in this world and the next.
Okay.
That's our dua.
That's the Salatul Istikhara.
Okay, now, yeah, that's what we take and learn in Salatul Istikhara. But it's something that we should learn for every single dua that we make. Now, secondly, when should I stop making dua for that specific thing? Okay, Allah is telling you, right, in the dua itself, you make a dua of Istikhara, oh Allah, give me that and facilitate it if it's good for me. Then you're finding obstacles, it's not good for me. Then, khalas, you're going to move on. Say, no, I'm not going to go through with this. Move on to something else. Now, you're not going to make dua again for that thing because you've decided not to go through with it because it wasn't happening. There was obstacles. So you saw that as not being facilitated, so therefore Allah didn't want it. So you moved on. So if you move on to something else, you've made that decision. Now you're going to be making a dua for that other thing that you've gone towards. So that's how we should take it. But never stop making dua. That's the key.
This reminds me of a verse. عسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. If you can kindly translate it for us.
Okay, so it's the other way around. Yeah. عسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم. Yeah. So here, perhaps you love something, but it's actually bad for you. Perhaps you hate something and it's actually good for you. Yeah. So here, whatever it is, okay, Allah knows if it's good or bad for you. Yeah. And only Allah knows, because He knows the big picture and how things are going to play out, and we don't know. So leave things in the hands of Allah. Oh Allah, if it's good for me, give it to me. Oh Allah, if it's bad for me, give me something better. Okay. That's it. So it should never be, oh Allah, give me that thing, full stop.
Okay. Because Allah has the infinite knowledge and we don't have the infinite knowledge. Okay. Next question from WhatsApp. Are we allowed to listen to Quran in the background whilst doing other things?
Having Quran on, there's no problem with that, and you're doing other things and you're not focusing. At times you will listen to it, and at times you won't be listening to it. But it being on, you'll find most people don't have a problem with that. There are cultural opinions, etc., that say that is bad manners to the Quran. Yeah, but if the Quran is on in your house, there are many blessings. Okay, and children will pick up, and someone is normally listening. At certain points, you'll listen, you'll tune in and out of your listening to the Quran. So I don't see any problem with that. I don't see it as bad manners. Rather, I see it as something good. And you will have different cultural views of, does this constitute good manners to the Quran or bad manners to the Quran if you're not fully attentive to it. But practically, we find a lot of people who have memorized Quran at a very young age. It was because this was happening a lot in their household. Okay, so that is a norm, and you'll find that very normal in the Arab world, etc. And you find them very good with the Quran. They're picking it up just because constant hearing of those surahs, those verses, etc., and always being played in the background.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I literally have 1.5 minutes. We all know the answer, but because the brother is asking Abu Talib, I need ordinary level of maths to graduate and be issued a certificate from the college. I'm not good in maths, but however, someone can write on my behalf. Is that allowed?
it doesn't need answering. We're not allowed to cheat people and cheat ourselves.
Thank you.
So, strive. Ista'in billahi wa la ta'jaz. Seek Allah's aid and don't feel incapacitated, and get on with it and do your best. And Allah will give you.
Is there sometimes we're looking fatwa so that we can make our life easy?
We're always looking for fatwa to make our life easy. I don't think that is ever going to change them. We want ease for ourselves, but
as human, I think that's what we want.
Yeah, we shouldn't cheat ourselves, and we shouldn't try to cheat others in trying to gain that ease.
Excellent. And of course, most important, not to break the law of the land, and most important, the law of the institute or university. It's plagiarism, or a lot of other things can come into factor, so we won't be doing such things, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for your time. I look forward to seeing you again in our future episode. Hopefully, you'll give us more time, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah fiqh. With this, we come to the conclusion of our today's program. Inshallah, the next day or tomorrow, the program is Ask Eman Urdu. If you would like to ask a question in Urdu language, then it's your day. Please pick up the phone and dial 0203 515 0757, our studio number. And of course, you can send us a WhatsApp for tomorrow, 07916841 inshallah, we'll be back on Friday and Saturday. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and all the other platforms. Until next time, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.